to the Public Square of Nigeria Info 99.3 with me, Rotimi Sankore. Ahoho is on leave, we miss him. Ayobe is with me on the idea segment, and Georges McNoble-Sinido will be joining us for the special preview of the Bayelsa and Kogi elections coming up on Saturday the 16th. So,
well, but good afternoon, listeners. But Rotimi, we're also going to be looking into the ideas components in those two gubernatorial races.
Yes, because, I mean, not just for the elections itself, but also in terms of governance, whether the ideas, issues, integrity, democracy, ethics and accountability have featured, and how much they have featured in the governance process, but also in the electoral process.
Yeah, I think that the first aspect of it, because obviously when you are having an election, whether the same person, the incumbent, is running for office, or whether the incumbent's party is hoping to be re-elected, or whether somebody else wants to get in, it's in some ways a verdict on what has gone before, the previous 4 years. And I guess that from, as I've always said, that in the public square of ideas is the square of accountability, because this is the point at which the voters effectively are telling you to account for the way you've governed the state over the past four years. And so I wonder, I hope that George is going to be able to tell us the extent to which those kind of issues are featuring in the election, or whether it's a simple, it simply boils down to I like this person's party, I don't like that person's party, and that's what I'm voting for. I mean, although I can see from the lists that that each state has quite a, in Bayelsa state, you have 45 political parties contesting for the governorship, which suggests that there's no consensus even among the opposition about who would do better. Whereas in Kogi state, you also have a fairly large number, which is slightly more manageable, 23. Yeah. So I just wonder, is it an issue-based campaign, or is it just my party against your party, my party at the center, your party at the state kind of election?
Judges, issues-based or ethnic, religious, personality?
Party-based above all.
Of course, what we've noticed is that for the campaign just started recently for Bayelsa. That makes I think they launched their mega rally yesterday, and the major political bigwigs in the state, like the former president Goodluck Jonathan was absent at the mega rally. Governor Wike was also absent at the mega rally. So even the person that came second, to me, I can't remember his surname now. To me,
you mean the runner-up in the
in the primary.
This is of the incumbent party at the state level.
Yes, at the state level.
PDP.
Did not turn up at the mega rally as well. So to a large extent, it tells you what is happening in the party. That even within the party, they have these issues that have not been resolved among themselves, and that may actually play against the sitting.
So then we're looking more at an issue of politics rather than the people's verdict on the actual performance of the ruling party in power
in the state. It's more of the power block in the party one having the upper hand than the other. I think the governor, the sitting governor, candidate is emerged as the winner of the primaries, and the candidate of that is being supported by the former president and PDP governors across the countries was not the choice of the people of the.
But
of the
is
party.
that
The
decision
choice
by,
of the delegates.
let me answer it, because you see, I mean, I don't know if you will recall when we were discussing the state of the states report last week, and we were noticing that Bayelsa State was one of those states which, despite the presumably huge amount that it gets from the fact that it is participating in the 13% that is set aside to be shared among the oil-producing states of Nigeria, it is still a state that is unable to balance its books, whether from the internally generated revenue and from the money it gets from the federal government. And I wonder, is
There
this...
also isn't a lot of transparency regarding the state budgets.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I will say that there's the lack of transparency, and then there's also the lack of visible delivery. You know, the output. So I'm just wondering, is this withdrawal of support, or apparent, or let me not call it withdrawal of support, let me just call it this failure to enthusiastically
the
support,
lack of presence.
this failure to support on the part of the party leader. I mean, when a former president is not there for the party,
And it's also his state.
and it's his home state, it says something. But is that their own verdict on the lack of performance as reflected in these figures that we saw from the state of the states? Or is it just, as I was asking George, is it just internal politicking?
I think they are still talking up the PDP. They are probably just not enthusiastic about the winner of the primary.
Exactly.
Now, is that because as an incumbent governor he had not shown the requisite degree of, I don't know, forelock pulling, or dobaling for them?
I think these issues of democracy, ethics, accountability apply a lot to the primaries, because in a scenario whereby the incumbent governor prefers a certain person to succeed him, and the party bigwigs, being the governors of the party and the former president being a leader of the party, not everybody is agreed on the best candidate to represent the party. It says a lot about the confidence in internal democracy and how it's been handled, because if all of them were confident that their candidate won or lost based on clearly accepted rules and process, I don't think they would stay away.
Okay.
Unless it is what we call bad belly here.
Well, I mean, you can't rule out the bad belly factor in Nigerian politics. And let's look at the other parties, because as I say, there are 45 parties. There's the incumbent People's Democratic Party, the party which is in power at the center, which is the All Progressives Congress, is obviously hoping to talk up its chances in an area that is so not known for supporting the APCs in any elections. And let's face it, that it would be one thing if we were facing this sort of situation in Rivers State, where at least you had a former governor who is now a leading member of the APC. But this is Bayelsa State, where there doesn't seem to have been any such personality on the APC side. So why do they feel, or is it because they too have some decampees who used to be big in the party? It's just politics rather than issues, it seems to me.
Well, there There are significant decampees in the APC
Yeah, that's the point.
that are now ministers,
Yes.
and
But
ministers.
from Bayelsa State.
Yes, from Bayelsa.
Yes.
And ministers in positions that influence South-South issues.
Yes.
So I suspect very much that not everybody is quite, comfortable that everything will go their way.
Yeah.
Okay, let me also ask from this point of view, because as I said, from the perspective of the voters, it ought to be calling those who have held power to account. Or asking. But when we look at the actual conduct of the election and the preparations by the Independent National Electoral Commission, then we're talking about the integrity of the elections. And we're just coming out of the verdict on the presidential election petition, and I find myself wondering, is there anything that INEC has done which suggests or shows that it is listening to even if they have won the presidential and many other elections, is there anything that suggests that they are listening to the demands for openness and transparency about their own processes?
Well, we'll have the INEC
INEC chairman, secretary.
press secretary.
But from on the ground,
INEC
what
chairman.
has been seen?
He will join us on the phone to explain what INEC has been doing, Mr. Rotimi Oyekome. But we need to take a short break for ads. When we come back, we'll try and answer this and then talk about Kogi State as well. So please stay tuned. Remember, you can follow details of today's program at Public Square NG on Twitter. You can also engage us at Nigeria Info FM, and you can tweet at me at Rotimi Sankore. Ayobe is at Nigema, and Georges is at Saint
McNobson.
All right, please stay tuned. 99.3. We will be back in about 4 minutes. Come back to the Public Square on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Ayobe is still here with
For
us
Ideas Radio.
on the Ideas.
I just want to wrap up the Ideas Radio. I mean, obviously we want to talk about Kogi, but I wanted to just, still focusing on INEC, because I know you're going to have somebody from INEC on the program in the Public Square later. Just to say that when we talk about whether INEC itself has imbibed anything from the last elections, the continued demand of civil society on behalf of Nigerians is for transparency about the results of elections. And that means that however they get into the hand of INEC, as I say, whether it's by server, whether it's by express messenger or even carrier pigeon, at some point INEC has it on its computer, and we should be able to go to its website and find out what was the result from my polling station. I don't think it's too much to ask, and if INEC could not organize that for a nationwide series of elections, they ought to be able to do it for a governorship election, so that anybody can go and check, was the result that was on my polling station the same one that INEC got.
Yeah, the point you are making speaks to the integrity of the process.
Exactly.
Because if actually integrity and accountability.
And allowing people to be carried along with it.
Yes, because if people can't go, I remember even the Kenya elections.
Oh, I'm always talking about that. People are tired of me talking about the Kenya elections.
We can go on the Kenya electoral. Yes, we in Nigeria can go on the Kenya Electoral Commission website and find out what the votes were in every polling station. In fact, for the places where they have 3G, they scanned copies and uploaded. So you can see what was signed by all the parties. You can see what was agreed, So we should be able to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
This is the only way we can end this. Did it go this way? Did it not go that way? And if people go to court, you can actually bring the figures. I mean, not putting the onus on the contestants to
No,
go and
it's
bring.
INEC that should bring
Yeah.
the figures, and in fact, it's one of the changes that had been proposed to support the integrity of elections. That the burden of proof to show that the election was regular and to display everything should first of all be on INEC, and then the parties who are challenging it can bring what they want to bring that would say why it wasn't there. But I suppose that. I mean, that's my perspective with the, or that's my ideas perspective. But I think we also can't completely overlook the fact that the same issues are going to arise in the Kogi election. But from my point of view, although I talked a little bit too much possibly about the politics, I think the same issue of accountability comes up whether the voters in Kogi State are saying this is what the governor has done, this is what the party in power has done, and whether we want to support this party or this person or not, or this is what this person is promising and we want to change and so on. But it does seem to me that I don't hear enough about the issues performance. And Kogi is another of those states that does not, on the state of the states, is not doing all that well.
You with the kind of political terrain that we have and the kind of campaign that we run, we understand that it is only the incumbent or the sitting governor or the sitting government that always try to say, okay, this is what we have done, this is what we have done. But the opposition, perhaps the major opposition parties, are always the ones that are always saying, oh, look, this is what we are going to do. This is, the oppositions
but
are
they should
always,
also have been critiquing what had been done as well.
You know, I don't even think that as much as we want issue-based campaign, I don't even think it's what the political parties should be telling us during campaign.
Yes.
Because if you've actually done certain things, then the people should see it. They should be able to know it. Not you coming to tell us that, oh, we did this, and this,
Well,
that the people cannot even attest to.
Well, the thing is that, I mean, some things are obvious, like roads and so on. Others, if you're not going to a hospital, you may not know. So the state has to bring out its indices, whether it's maternal mortality, infant mortality, passes at national elections and so on. And I do feel that while that may not yet be the situation in either of these elections, the reality is that politicians will never really feel that they have to be held accountable to the voters. If the voters continue to fall for this idea that it's all about personality and party, rather than performance
And zoning and ethnicity.
Yes.
And from what we are seeing in Bayelsa now, we know it's all about personality.
Yes.
Oh, who is my person? Because already the political bigwig in Bayelsa are already having this divergent opinion, differences, misunderstanding
Well, the
over
same thing in
who
Kogi.
emerged from the primaries.
The same thing in Kogi. But judges, let's save most of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Public
I agree. I want to wrap up the ideas segment, but it is the point that I think I need to emphasize, that if we as voters fall for this continued smoke and mirrors of personality, party, ethnicity, religion, zone, and all the rest of it, then the people who are campaigning for our votes will not feel that they have to show that they have performed or that they can perform. Rather, they will say, well, it doesn't matter what we've done, we just say that the other person is worse. They come from this place or they come from
And that is what
that.
is happening.
Yes. So with that, I want to thank you all for listening to and joining me on the Ideas segment. And I hope to be with you next week, although I should perhaps drop a word in, because the Minister of Works had mentioned that the roads in Nigeria are not as bad as and I'll be coming from Ibadan next week. So if it's still going to be shake, rattle and roll, then I may not be able to get
Well,
here.
you can report live from the road. We'll take a live report from the Lagos Ibadan
As I say,
Expressway.
it is shake, rattle, and
He has
roll.
been invited to take the road challenge.
No, I mean, as
And
I
you
was
can-
coming here, quite frankly, I came because my Google Maps advised me to come through Ikoyi Road. And I just thought to myself, can
That-
you even do
is-
10 meters of road
Is
in
that a
Nigeria?
federal road?
It doesn't matter. Well, I mean, the point is that I come from my office at Boyle Street, through Ikoyi Road, onto Kingsway Road, and then onto the, the Ozumbambadi Way. And at every stage, there are very few stretches that you can do up to 500 meters, and say that you didn't have to encounter some
Like you
galloping.
didn't have to choose which potholes to go into.
Exactly. That's just the sad truth about it.
It's like a video game now. if you choose the wrong one, you lose your
Anyway,
tire
you just should hope that I
If you-
choose the right one next week.
and
So
just
I'll
lose a
join
few
you.
points. All right. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Doc.
much, Ayo.
Bye-bye.
Very
Bye.
grateful. Okay. As we switch to the public square, we should say that Achike